All right, everyone, we have good news this morning. It appears that Black Lives Matter, the organization, the con, the race-baiting grift, is on the verge of bankruptcy. It turns out that people aren't willing to perpetually pay you money for doing absolutely nothing of value in the world, even if it helps them with woke credentials. Here's the problem. Black Lives Matter, ironically, is getting screwed by ESG. Corporations and individual philanthropists will come in, and they'll pay them 50 grand, 100 grand or something to build their next George Floyd monument or whatever. And they do that in order to go up on stage with BLM, so they're surrounded by black people, and usually it's a white businessman, and they've got a problem because corporations are perceived of as being evil, especially by left-wingers. And so they sanitize their corporations by taking part in the ESG grift. Much like back in the 50s, every other ad had an American flag and a crying eagle in it. And the idea was you had to bow to patriotism in order to sell your product. You had to out-patriot one another. So, like, you know, they've got a sticker of an American flag now on their dishwasher. Well, that's no good. How can we compete with them? We'll make the whole dishwasher red, white, and blue. We're going to have a big eagle in the front. We're going to rename our company to Eagle Dishwashers and have an eagle with a single tear flying over grandma and grandma's saluting and eating apple pie and shit like that. That was what you did. Now, and in the 90s and 2000s, basically, you competed to see how many titties and butts you could put on your product. You remember that famous, I think it was a Whopper ad there with that one chick that was washing the car with her boobs mainly and then eating the burger. Can't remember the context, but I remember the commercial. It was effective for marketing at the time for that particular demographic, I will say. BLM has the same problem. ESG has flooded the market so that everyone's trying to outwoke one another, and so BLM, as now an older group within that trend towards hyper-wokeness, is at a disadvantage. They're getting outwoked, BLM is. So they're making less money, and they keep spending it on stupid shit. Like one of their founders, I think, bought several McMansions. I think actually is found guilty for fraud at one point, and they're all a bunch of commies. Now, the first wave of commies that developed the concept, they took their money and left, again, sometimes getting found guilty of felonies in the process. The people running it now are more ideologues and maybe don't even understand the commie origins of like critical race theory. By the way, I think that my assertions on the situation with regards to the trajectory of wokeness following the same trend as every other moral panic, yeah, this is a signal that it's ending, actually. It gets really, really vicious towards the end of one of those cycles, and then it begins getting so vicious that it starts biting the hand that feeds it. So they'll start even attacking corporations that are woke, politicians that do support them, and so naturally, they're not getting as many politicians to speak for them. They're not getting as many corporations to pay them, because the corporations effectively, it's like Pride Month is coming up in a week. All the corporations will slap rainbow flags on their products. They have to compete in the ESG-soaked market. Do they really care about gay people? No. Otherwise, they'd be putting the gay pride flag on their Arabic Twitter page. I noticed that not one of them does that. Probably because it's all for money purposes. They want more money. They want more affluence, more assets. Can't get that by pissing off your customer base now, can you? Well, BLM doesn't deliver the goods as much anymore. Yeah, they got the ball rolling, but now they're starting to attack even some woke politicians. So naturally, like the dog that got far too violent, at first you train the dog to attack other people. Now the dog is nipping at you and you're starting to get nervous sleeping in the same room as doggy. So the dog gets put down for being violent. Now, you trained it to be that way. You trained your pupper to bite little children or bite enemies on a battlefield or bite convicts or something. The police dog now is attacking police officers. Does it remain a police dog? No. It gets booted out, and then some moron will adopt it maybe if it doesn't get put down and turned into glue. So it was good while it lasted, I suppose. A handful of commies got very, very rich, and now they can antagonize from their 10-bedroom homes. That's basically the long-term result of BLM. And a bunch of people got censored and dragged for absolutely no reason, and the elements, the local economies got crippled by riots, and that's basically their accomplishment. Woohoo! We saved the city, Patrick! And flames in the background. That's when BLM and Antifa show up in your city, you might as well sell your property preemptively. That's a grift. By the way, they didn't last nearly as long as fucking Al Sharpton. His grift's been going on since, what, the 70s or the 60s or something? He's been doing a lot longer. People like Sharpton and David Duke grift like that all the time. And they actually make a career of it. BLM, how long did they last? A drop in the bucket. A blip on the radar. So the commies, once again, showing they're not as good at organizing as liberals are and creating a long-term actual movement. When's the last time you actually saw a story mentioning BLM? A few years ago, it was all over the place. Even the legacy media ignores them now. That's because they got boring. Other groups are either more violent or more woke or more willing to suck the dick of the politicians that are paying them to attack their enemies. Which, by the way, does happen. You know, if you pay Al Sharpton's people enough money, your opponent corporation all of a sudden has a big problem because you're getting praised, and maybe there's an insinuation that that other corporation just isn't pulling its weight with regards to diversity and inclusion. They just have a few less black workers than your corporation. Well, says Al Sharpton, I know which brand of soda I drink because this one, you know, it's 90% black people in their bottling plant working for minimum wage. Well, at least they've got jobs, says Al, just as long as they don't move into my McMansion neighborhood, my gated community. The other part is they're a bunch of NIMBYs. People soured on BLM in part because of the hypocrisy. A part of it's the leftists leaving the movement specifically because of the fraud of the founders. Because of individuals grifting millions of dollars off of this, what effectively is a corporate movement more than anything else. It brands itself as activism, but it's never been activism anyway. Now it's barely active. You know, you need to take the George Floyd hologram and bring it to more communities. You need to antagonize more. They got older, so I guess they've found other things to do. They're like, well, you know, I'm getting older now. My arthritis is acting up. I don't think that I can throw bricks at the cops tonight. Damn it, I guess I'm getting old. That's about all. Peace out.